Hey guys, Dr. Sam. Today's topic is about TRT, testosterone replacement therapy. Not even going to get about HRT, hormone replacement therapy, because that involves other hormones. First, whatever questions you have about TRT, let me know, because I will answer them, make multiple videos about it, because it's a very complex topic, but I know a lot of guys are talking about it and asking about it. And it's a very hot topic these days as far as doctors and so forth prescribing testosterone, because it's a big money maker. So, and I'll tell you about how my cousin did TRT and he ended up becoming impotent after a while and actually injecting Caverject into his penis to be able to get erections because nothing was working despite being on testosterone replacement therapy. So what is testosterone replacement therapy? It's basically, you have low testosterone, right? Any hormone, your testosterone levels, let's just say in America, it's 300 to 1,000 nanograms per deciliter, right? So you'll take testosterone. If it's on the low end, the doctor will prescribe you testosterone to bring it up to the higher end. And testosterone, as you know, I've described it so many times, it has so many health benefits. And so it's good. Your goal is to have optimal high levels of testosterone at any age. Unfortunately, these days, everyone has lower testosterone levels, including guys in their 20s and 30s. So here's the problem with just taking testosterone replacement therapy. When you go to a doctor, obviously don't do it on your own. So here's the deal. First of all, you have to do a really detailed blood analysis, hormone analysis, not just your total testosterone, your free testosterone as well, your estradiol, estrogen levels, estradiol sensitive, more specifically. You also want to test your DHT levels, dihydrotestosterone levels, in addition to having a full thyroid panel and also vitamin D. And there's other hormones, but those are the basic specific ones that you should, as far as hormones, because all those can affect your testosterone levels, right? So why is your testosterone low? That's the first thing, because simply taking testosterone, if you have low testosterone, is not going to really fix the problem. Certainly not in the long run. Because first you have to see what is the problem. Maybe you have low testosterone and you have higher estrogen or estradiol levels, right? So that's one thing, because your testosterone is converting to estrogen. We don't want that. We want to lower the conversions of estrogen if you have high estrogen or on the higher end, right? And you want to lower it so that as you lower the estrogen, estradiol, your testosterone will naturally go up, because think of estrogen as an expense, right? Not a profit. And total testosterone will go up. The other factor is DHT. DHT being dihydrotestosterone. That is linked to prostate problems, obviously body hair and hair loss. So we also don't want that. If, for example, your DHT and estradiol levels are high, chances are your testosterone is going to be low, because all that testosterone, the money, is converting to an expense, estrogen and DHT. A lot of this has to do with your genetics. Some people just naturally convert higher. They have more 5-alpha reductase enzyme for DHT and more aromatase enzyme for estrogen. I tend to be one of those people. I remember doing a blood test when I was 19. My testosterone was on the low normal. My estradiol was on the high normal, and DHT was high normal. I was 19. I'm like, dude, this sucks. And the doctor's like, well, everything's in normal range. Don't worry about it. I'm like, dude, I'm 19. This is as good as it's ever going to get. It's only going to get worse. Anyhow, that's what started me in this lifelong pursuit of just better health, hormones, and so forth. So first of all, you have to see where your levels are. So if, for example, your DHT and or estrogen levels are high, giving testosterone is just going to make those convert even more, right? So then a TRT, hormone replacement therapy clinic or whatever, they'll give you something like Arimidex as an aromatase inhibitor to lower your estrogen, but then it can be too much. It's overkill. Or they'll maybe give you finasteride as a 5-alpha reductase inhibitor to lower your DHT levels. Well, the problem is, for a lot of guys, that can cause impotence, erectile problems. So it's like, dude, you're taking testosterone to fix the erections, and then you're taking all this other inhibitor outside drugs to lower these other hormones, which then that indirectly causes you impotent issues, even though you have higher testosterone levels. So it's a balance. And of course, now you're taking, instead of one drug, you're taking 3 drugs. Obviously, this is very good for the medical clinic with a doctor because they're just making money off of you every single month. And trust me, the margin on that stuff is super, super high. They're just going to rip you off. So that's the first problem. You have to see where the issues are. For example, if you're overweight, the more fat cells you have, the more estrogen your body will produce. So if you naturally have high aromatase enzymes, so you're going to have more estrogen. And if you're overweight, you're going to have even more estrogen. And also if you're older, you're going to have more estrogen and DHT. So all these factors need to be taken into account. Point is, let's first fix all the potential causes of low testosterone. All right. For example, maybe you're lacking in zinc or things like that to improve your DHT. And I'll give you all the information underneath this video in the description area. Or if you're overweight, you got to lower your body fat because that will naturally lower estrogen. As you lower excess DHT or estrogen, your testosterone will naturally go up and you'll be in a better range. Your libido, everything will be better, right? So these are all the factors that we need to take into account that most doctors, most clinics won't do because they don't have the time, they don't have the desire. It's all about get you in, prescribe you 3-4 drugs. Oh, hey, you're also losing hair now because of the testosterone, which is another factor. It will accelerate hair loss if that's part of your DNA. And then they're like, oh, we'll give you topical, minoxidil on top of it and finasteride. Now you're in there with 4 drugs when you came in just to do 1. Also, when you take testosterone, let's just assume all this is good. Your libido, everything's going to be awesome for about 2 or 3 weeks, okay? Then your body is going to adapt, and then the levels come back a little bit more normal because right now, if you took T8 testosterone, it's going to be added on top of what your body's naturally producing. Even if your body's only like at 300, it's still quote unquote 300 nanograms per deciliter on top of what you're going to inject. So you're going to feel like awesome for a couple of weeks. Your body adapts. How does it adapt? It tells your basically testicles, hey, we're getting outside testosterone. So from exogenous, so the internal testosterone, endogenous, from your testicles, let's shut that down. So all of a sudden what happens is your body is no longer producing its own natural testosterone. What little it was, it's still not producing that anymore. So now your total testosterone drops back down a little bit more. But here's the deal. Now your testicles start to shrink. By the way, if you ever want to have kids, being on testosterone replacement therapy is a bad idea. So make sure if you want to have kids, you don't even bother with testosterone replacement therapy at all. Once you're done having all your kids, then you consider testosterone replacement therapy. Now, I know a lot of doctors will say, oh, it's okay. Later on, you can take HCG or HMG, all this stuff, and get things back. It's never going to be as good, all right? It's never going to be, especially if you've been on testosterone replacement therapy for 2, 3, 5, 10 years, like some guys. These guys are starting in their 30s. It's not gonna be the same, all right? It's not. You're gonna have to do a massive protocol just to get your testicles back up to working, your sperm to be optimized, all right? There's a lot of moving factors, and these guys are all thinking short term. Hey, I'm gonna give these drugs to this guy, to you. You're gonna feel awesome, you're gonna look better, but we'll worry about the long-term effects later. You need to always take into account all these issues for the future that most doctors are not going to care about because they don't care. They're about get you in, prescribe you drugs, make a ton of money off of you, and just keep going. And trust me, there's a lot of issues when you're dealing with your hormones. So these are just a few factors that most people don't take into consideration. So what happens is, all these other factors, and here's the other thing, when you have to keep doing all these specific hormone tests to see, hey, I'm taking testosterone, where is it? Where are my estradiol levels? Where's my DHT levels? Like I said earlier, your vitamin D is very important. We got to up it. Most people have low levels of it or just completely deficient. Thyroid levels matter. Sex hormone binding globulin matters, all right? SBGG, because that frees up your total testosterone. So that takes into account how much free testosterone you have. What's free testosterone? Well, that's your net profit. Think of it that way. Your free testosterone is like your net profit, all right? So that's what's going around that you can use at the end of the month to do whatever you want, right? You have income, then after taxes and all your expenses, you have your profits, and that profit is like your free testosterone levels, okay? So all these factors take into account. Again, I'm rambling on real quick with lots of stuff off the top of my head. That's why I'm asking you, leave your comments below with all your questions. No stupid questions. Ask as many as you want, ask as detailed or as vague or as generic, and I'll tell you about it, what dosage, how to take, all this stuff. But there's a lot of factors that you need to take into account if you're gonna play with your hormones, especially at a young age. Now, if you're like 50 or 60 years old, and you've done all this stuff, you're in good health, you're exercising, you're eating well, you've taken natural things to up your testosterone, improve your blood flow, all these things that I mentioned in hundreds of my videos and my blog posts. If you've done all this stuff and still things aren't improving, then let's talk about adding a little bit of testosterone, okay? And that even needs to be done correctly. What dose? Where do you inject? How often do you inject? What kind of testosterone, even though in America it's mainly testosterone cypionate? Do you do it injection? Do you do it topical, with creams? Or do you do a pellet? There's all these factors that go into account. 90%, 95% of doctors will never take into account all this stuff. They'll give you generic cookie cutter stuff. Remember, you're in and out in a few minutes. Let's prescribe you a bunch of drugs, get you out. They don't care about it. So there's a lot of factors to take into account. So you have to first see where you are naturally, where your genetics are naturally. If you are already soft and squishy and maybe overweight, if you're already hairy and bald and all that stuff, taking testosterone replacement therapy without fixing those other hormones like estrogen and DHT is only going to make things way worse, okay? You're going to get full-blown gynecomastia, which is, bitch tits and all that stuff. You're going to have more prostate problems. Your hairiness is going to get worse. For sure, you're going to accelerate hair loss. And for some people, their mood is actually going to get worse because you're having a lot more conversions to negative stuff rather than positive, okay? So a lot of factors to take into account. I can't get into all of them right now, and I don't know what questions you have about them. So let me know below if you want me to talk about specific stuff about TRT, or even later on hormone replacement therapy, which more specifically does include these days growth hormone. But again, TRT is the main thing we're going to talk about. And why do you want to take it? Is it muscle loss? Oh, I want to improve my muscle. Let me tell you one thing. Just because you take testosterone is not going to put on a ton of muscle, and if you don't actually, exercise and do all the right things. So it's not going to fix. It's not a magic bullet. And a lot of people after taking testosterone, especially after a few months, they're like let down with the effects. They're like, hey, I thought it was going to fix all this stuff. Why? Because they hear about all the amazing benefits and how it's a magic bullet. And of course, the doctor's selling you, oh yeah, we'll do all this stuff. Clinical research has shown this. A lot of factors, okay? So keep all that in mind. Hopefully this was a little bit helpful. I've got tons of information below on just how you can improve your testosterone levels naturally, which is something you should be doing regardless. Do that first before you do TRT. And when you're on TRT, doing all those things will actually improve the benefits with a lower dose and minimizing the negative side effects. So let me know your comments. Please ask your questions and take a look at the information below this video in the description area. As always, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Wishing you a happy and healthy day.